Hello YouTube, and welcome to another exciting video today where we're going to have a look at this, an electric 3/4 inch ratchet for the car DIY mechanic enthusiasts. Yes. Now this ratchet by Sealey in this particular example, but I did a quick look on the internet, the exact same device in slightly different colours, like white and more redder red and a blue. The heads are exactly the same, the trigger and the switch and everything are the same. So yeah, let me blend in some other images right here. So you got the Draper, the, what is it, the ToolPro, sorry, and the Prostormer. I mean, even the batteries are all the same. This one just happens to have a sticker of Sealey on there, but they're all the same. 12 volt. Stick them in there, and it does a forwards and backwards action, getting your bolts done and undone. Comes with nice disco lighting for your parties on a Friday night, and some LEDs for your battery levels. Had this for 4 years now. Stripped an engine and rebuilt an engine with this, hence it's a little bit dirty. Been okay. The only problem that I did have is that the ratcheting mechanism in the head, so the motor was spinning, but the head wasn't doing anything. So putting a little bit of lubrication in there solved that problem. We're going to have a look at that, how that works in this video once we've taken it all apart. This is actually part of a slightly larger assortment of tools. Let me show that to you right here. So yeah, let's take the battery out, and then I'm going to get into it. It's held in with a selection of screws, 4 up there for the metal part, and then a lot of little tiny ones for the rest of it. Now one of them is sort of hidden away behind that little metal clip there. So I think we have to push the little clip out to be able to take the clamshell apart. So that'll be our first little fun thing to do. So let's see if we can get this out to start with. There we are. Yeah, not quite. Not quite. I mean, again, this is made at a slightly lower budget than your well-established brands, your Milwaukees and your Makitas and stuff. I don't even know if Makita make one of these, but definitely Milwaukee makes a selection of these ratchets. It's just a simple metal piece. It's got some wear marks on it where it's been touching the edges. You can just see the shiny part, so it's touching the corners of the switch there, so it's not actually touching it on the flat bit there. When it is in place, where you squeeze your grip basically around it. I personally like it because you have a little bit more momentum, especially with the battery in place, where you can hold it a little bit further down to have a bit of extra grip to untorque a tight fastener. You're probably not supposed to, but you know, we all do it sometimes. And then this is just a little hollow bush, a spring clip type of thing that just goes through the plastic hole there, holds the handle in place. Nothing special there. So let's have a look. Let's get the right bit on there. Will that fit? That looks like it does. So let's have a look.
One.
Yeah, not reaching in there. I'm not reaching in there. Let's use a screwdriver instead. Just normal Phillip head screwdrivers. Phillip head screws. We got them all out. That one is still a bit in there. That's a small one, that one. There we are. We get there in the end. One thing to already criticise, I think, is if we're looking at these fasteners and how close they are to the edge of the clamshell, there isn't a lot of meat in certain areas there. These ones are alright, but this one and this one in particular. And I guess the next step would be to take these four out. Like with so many power tools, or any tools, or anything really, these are manufactured in China. The model number has come off. They stick on with a sticker and then it sort of doesn't last. So if you use it with your dirty fingers, as you tend to do when you're working on engines and stuff, yeah, it does wear off. But yeah, it hasn't got the made in China on here actually. Now I'm looking at it. Ta-da! Right. So there it is. Very simple. The battery terminals, your switch. This is just a little slider. This is a plastic slider that slides there to stop you from accidentally pressing it. Super easy. The switch, which is straight onto the board, and then it's a brushed motor, which is directly sort of held onto the body of the, I think it's just pressed together, of the actual ratcheting mechanism. And then up there, the little LED that just lives there with the two little wires running down there to put some light on your work surface. If we're having a closer look at the actual clams, now the thing that I already noticed whilst taking it apart is very stiff. You can barely sort of twist it or anything. I mean, there's a little bit of torsion in there, but yeah, good quality. So this is PA6 with TPE, as it says on there. Yeah, rubber overmold. Unlike the Bosch that we looked at last week, this actually goes through the mold. There's a little rubber dinghy there that sticks out a little bit, but you can see it's actually a through mold. It's decent quality, you know. This is not bad, especially not considering the price range of this. This is going to be the interesting bit. This is all part of one. This is pressed. So the motor is actually pressed into the housing, and then held in place with these, well, the one rivet. So yeah, that little thing there goes through the hole and is held in. You can see the galvanized color metal of the housing, the motor housing, through the black there. And if you look at it from the top, it's well snug in there. So I think this is pressed, and I haven't got a hydraulic press in my workshop, unfortunately, so we can press this apart without knackering the whole thing. It's a bit dirty in there, but there's a little spring clip that holds the mechanism, the ratcheting mechanism at the end there together. So let's take that apart. Let's just see if we can get that done. There we are. So then this should just come out. There we are. So there you go. That's basically all that is. Let's just clean that up with a little rag so we can see what we're doing. Oh dear. Oh dear. I broke it. Broke it. This will never work the same ever again now. See if we can get some light on it. You can see in there the little shaft that's sticking out of there. That's basically off-centric, positioned on the rotating shaft. So basically all that does is it spins around, will push in that direction because of that off-centric movement of the rotating shaft. All it does is basically wiggle side to side on the end, and then the tooth that you can see in there, get some light on it, and then it engage basically by this wiggling, it grabs and pulls the ratchet. So all this does is basically you got the little cams there. Don't know if this shows properly. The little cams there, so if the tooth grab on this side, they'll just skip over it. If they grab on this side, they'll engage in, they bite into it, and they actually start turning the mechanism, if you like. If you then turn it the other way, then it's the same but in mirror image. So the tooth grabbing on that side, they will skip over it, but turning that way, they will grab and they will turn the item the other way. So you can get away with a machine that's one directional, and by changing the angle of the tooth, it either engages one way or it engages the other way, because basically that starts wiggling and those tooth will grab onto this, which gives it a rotational movement. Having a look at the electronic side of things, the battery terminals, two tiny little spades just stuck through a little bit of plastic. That's a little bit, and as you can see there's quite a bit of wear on the terminals. It doesn't need much for them to bend and your battery won't engage properly, so that could be a potential cause of some issues, because it's just open, it's there where the battery goes in. Yeah, could cause some issues. The wires go into the board, so the black one just there and the red one joins the board there. Goes into some control electronics. It's a little board with a little bit of feature content going on there. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I have no idea what it all does, by all means. And basically it gets sent to the motor. It's one directional cooling fan on there. They're not angled, they're just straight blades. So this motor is an off-the-shelf unit. I can't find any markings on it whatsoever, so I don't know a brand name or a type or anything. The interesting is this is heat shrunk, but any of the other connectors, proper like rough cut solder. I mean, there's hardly any solder on that one. Yeah, this one looks a little bit bare as well. So if you're going to have any trouble over the use time, because this thing, it ratchets so vibrates, these connectors might have come loose, so that probably be your first point of call to have a look at. And then if we look at the switch soldering points, I mean that one is gone completely overboard. There's more solder on there than anywhere else on this tool. And then the other one, it's a bit difficult to see because the wires are also intertwined. Yeah, that's sort of okay, but I said the only two heat shrunk items are the ones, the little spades that go onto the motor, and that's it. Again, it's made at a price point. Little LED that turns on, the wires go into the board. As soon as you press the switch, even just a tad to, you not even engage the motor, the light will come on. Switch, it's 7.2 to 24 volt DC, 20 amps max, so it's a standard off the shelf switch. This control mechanism, this control board, is primarily for the lithium batteries. It could probably control that motor on its own without all that jazz. Pulling 20 amp, because these things are only usually 1.5 amp hour batteries. They don't really, yeah, they do sell I think 2.5 amp. They got like a little pedestal at the bottom of them, a slightly more powerful version. Yeah, that's all that is. Nothing spectacular. The board itself looks nice. Like I said, the soldering points are a little bit dodgy. Just trying to distinguish. There's no brand or anything on there, so it's just an unbranded tool that literally gets branded by placing a sticker on the housing. The plastic clam is nice and rigid, very stiff, so you could give this a good yank, which you could lean on this to undo a stubborn nut or bolt. I did notice when taking it apart that some fasteners, they're very close to the edge. There's not a lot of meat around them. You can see here the little sticker. I'll just get some goo on it. There's like little holes there for your battery indication. There's these 3 tiny little LEDs. It says LED 1, 2 and 3 on there. Green. So they light up as the battery is depleting and then go off one at a time until the battery runs empty. So yeah, a very simple tool. Nothing special, but then again the price is fairly straightforward as well. The good bits about it, so clamshell, it's alright. Motor itself, yeah, it's a brushed motor. We can't see a lot, just looking through the little ventilation holes there. They've got solid thick coils of copper wires on them, so that'll probably last you a while. There's not a lot of torque that this thing has to deal with. It just stops when you over torque anyway. So this thing is rated for 45 Newton meters, as it'll state on there. If you have fasteners that go over that momentum of either they're tight beyond 45 Newton meter, or you want to tighten them over that point, then the machine just stops. So it's got a little bit of a safety mechanism built in the electronics to basically stop it from over torquing and basically burn out your motor. Electronic wise, the switch is nice and solid, that proper spring behind it. The battery connection is a little bit on the slim side. The soldering on this particular example is potential for improvement, shall we call it. And I think that's about it. So yeah, the head is sturdy. It's all hardened. This part is. This not. This is just painted steel. So yeah, that's about it. A very simple tool, very simple price. All in all, pretty decent, really. Yeah, if you like what we're doing here and you haven't already, then press the subscribe button wherever that down there or on the side, wherever that is on your screen. Give it a thumbs up. If you want to see any particular tools or anything in detail, then let me know, and then we'll have a look at that. I think the Einhell tool, the little impact driver thing that I took apart a couple of weeks ago, is getting good views. So I might take another one of those apart if you want. So yeah, that's it. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.